Hello and welcome to Classlise. I am Lili, and today I am so happy to be here with you in this warm and gentle space we have together.
Hi, I am Sante, and thank you for joining us today. By listening to this episode, you are giving your ears a great chance to practice understanding natural English, and that is really something to celebrate. I am so grateful you pressed play today. So Lili, before we jump in, how are you feeling?
I am feeling a little funny today, actually, because last night I stayed up making a list of goals for myself. But this morning when I woke up, it already felt too much. You know, when you make these big plans and then suddenly they seem a little heavy.
I get that. And honestly, I think it happens to so many people. We want to do so much, and then it's almost like the weight of all those goals makes us freeze. That's why I'm excited about today's topic, because it is all about how to set simple goals that really work and do not stress us out.
Yes, and you know that feeling of wanting to do everything at once, but then you end up doing nothing at all. That is definitely something I have struggled with before, and I think it is a common experience for a lot of people.
It really is. And I feel like sometimes we are told to dream big, which is good, but no one really shows us how to break those dreams into smaller steps that we can actually start today. So maybe we can talk about that.
That is so true for me. Sometimes a big goal just sounds exciting at first, like learning a new language or getting fit. But after a few days, my energy disappears, and I forget why I started in the first place.
I know exactly what you mean. And I think a big part of it is because those goals sound great, but they are not specific enough. They are like a cloud up in the sky. You can see it, but you cannot really touch it.
That reminds me of when I said I wanted to be more organized, and I just wrote that on a sticky note. But then I realized I did not really know what that would look like in my life.
Right? And that is the thing. Simple goals are not just small, they are clear, and you can see what you need to do every day to move a little bit closer. So maybe instead of be more organized, you could say, put my keys in the same place every night.
That makes so much sense, and it feels lighter too. You know, when you think about it like that, it's just one action, and you do not have to change your whole life in one day.
Yes, and I really like how you said lighter, because sometimes when we set a goal that is too big or too vague, it actually makes us feel tired before we even start. So making it simple really helps.
You know, I once read about someone who wanted to start running, but they always quit after a week. Then they changed their goal to just putting on their running shoes every morning, and suddenly it was easier to start.
That is a good story, and it shows how the first step is often the hardest part. But if you make the first step super easy, you are more likely to keep going. It's like giving yourself a little win every day.
For me, it is the same with drinking more water. I always said I wanted to drink 8 glasses a day, but I never did. Now I just fill 1 glass and leave it on my desk, and somehow it gets easier.
I love that example. And I think the glass on the desk is like a small reminder that helps you stay on track. It's almost like making your environment friendly for your goal.
That is a good point, because sometimes we think we just need more willpower, but really sometimes it is about changing little things around us so our goals feel possible.
I agree with that completely. And you know, sometimes I feel people think that setting simple goals is not ambitious enough. But actually, it takes a lot of wisdom to know what works for you.
I am so glad you said that, because I always felt a little guilty for making my goals too easy. But then I realized that easy goals are the ones that actually get done. And that is what really matters.
It really does matter. And I think celebrating those small wins is important too. Sometimes we wait until we finish everything before we feel good, but every little step forward is progress.
I used to be really hard on myself when I did not finish a big goal. But now if I do even a tiny thing, I try to notice it and say, well done, Lili. Even if it is just making my bed or going for a short walk.
That is so kind to yourself. And I think being gentle with ourselves makes it easier to keep going, because we are not scared of failing or making mistakes. We just keep moving.
That reminds me of when I tried to learn how to cook. I started with one simple recipe, just scrambled eggs. I did not try to make a big meal. I just wanted to get good at one thing.
That is a perfect example. And now that you mention it, it is almost like learning English too. You do not have to learn everything at once. Maybe you just listen to one podcast episode, and that is your goal for today.
Yes, and even listening right now is already a step forward for everyone who is with us. I think that is really beautiful. It is not about being perfect, it is about making a start.
I feel like sometimes people wait for the perfect moment to begin, but honestly, there is never a perfect time. The best time is just now, even with a small action.
I have a friend who always wanted to write a book, and she waited for the perfect idea for years. Then she just started writing 1 page a day, and now she is halfway done.
That story gives me chills because it shows how powerful one small action can be. If you repeat it every day, it adds up in ways you do not expect.
And it feels less scary when you look at your goal as a series of tiny steps instead of one huge mountain to climb. Sometimes just thinking about the next step is enough.
That is so true. And for me, sometimes I need to make my goals even smaller if I feel stuck. Like instead of clean the house, I just say pick up 3 things from the floor.
Yes, I have done that too, and it works because you trick your mind a little. It's like saying just do a little bit, and if you want to stop, you can. But most of the time, you end up doing more.
I remember last week when I wanted to read more, I put my book on my pillow, so I would see it before sleep, and just reading 1 page felt like an easy win.
I love that it is almost like you are making your goals part of your daily routine, so you do not have to think so much about it. It just happens naturally.
Yes. And sometimes routines are more powerful than motivation because you do not have to wait to feel inspired. You just do the thing because it is part of your day.
That makes me think of brushing your teeth. You do not need to be excited to do it. You just do it because it is a habit. So maybe simple goals work best when they can become a habit.
Absolutely. And I think habits are like the secret to reaching big goals without feeling overwhelmed. If you can turn a small action into a habit, you almost cannot fail.
But sometimes even habits need a little help. For example, I put a reminder on my phone for drinking water, because otherwise I just forget. It is easy to lose focus in a busy day.
I think reminders are great, and it is okay to need a bit of help. Technology can be a friend when it comes to keeping simple goals alive, and sometimes sharing your goal with a friend makes it stronger too.
Yes, when you tell someone your goal, even if it is small, it feels a bit more real, and maybe they check in with you, or you can celebrate together.
That reminds me, when I tried to eat healthier, I told my family about it, and sometimes they would ask me how it was going. It made me want to stick with it, because they cared.
I like that idea, because sometimes we think we have to do everything alone, but really it is okay to have support. It makes the journey more fun and less lonely.
And, sometimes we need to give ourselves permission to change our goals if they do not fit anymore. It is not failure, it is just being flexible.
That is so important because sometimes we set a goal and then life changes, or we realize it is not right for us anymore. It is okay to adjust.
Yes, and it is better to change a goal than to quit everything completely. You can always make your goals simpler if you need to.
Sometimes I have to remind myself that the goal is not to be perfect, but to keep moving forward, even if it is slow.
I agree, and I think the journey matters as much as the destination. Every day, you try is a win, and you should be proud of that.
That reminds me of a time I wanted to meditate every morning, but I kept forgetting, so I changed my goal to just 1 minute, and suddenly it felt possible.
That is a beautiful example, and I think it shows how small steps can change everything. Sometimes just starting is the hardest part. After that, things get easier.
Yes, and sometimes we are too hard on ourselves if we miss a day, but it is okay. We can always try again tomorrow. Every new day is a new chance.
I really like that, and I think our listeners can feel that too. It is not about being perfect. It is about making progress little by little.
I think it is good to ask yourself, what is the easiest step I can take today? Maybe that is enough, and that is worth feeling good about.
Yes, and I hope everyone listening feels inspired to choose one small goal and just try. Maybe it is listening to this podcast or writing a word in English or drinking water.
And if you are not sure where to start, it is okay. Just begin with something simple, and you can always change it later if you need to.
Remember, your goal is for you. It does not have to look like anyone else's. You can make it as small or as gentle as you want.
And even if you take one tiny step today, that is already something to be proud of. It all counts in the end.
I think that is a good place to pause and let our listeners take in everything we have shared today.
Thank you for listening and spending your time with us today. I hope you feel supported and a little lighter than when we started.
We appreciate you so much, and we are glad you are here. Every time you listen, your English gets stronger and your confidence grows.
You have just listened to Classlise, where your ears guide your fluency.
Thank you for letting us be part of your day, and we hope you keep listening to more episodes.
Take care and remember, every little step matters.
See you next time on Classlise.